Hello, and welcome to my channel. My name is Jonathan Cohn, and today I will be discussing my current reading plans for the year 2022. Now, obviously, I can't have the entire year planned out. That would be very difficult to do, but I kind of know generally the direction that I'm going, and so I thought I would share with you and my subscribers, and if you're not subscribed, you can down below, but if you're just watching this video just for fun, you can also see this. I will have a graphic on the screen in a moment that will be helpful. It will show what my overall plan is. Now, not every single book that I intend to read during the months that you'll see are on this list, but the ones that I will probably be reviewing on the channel there'll be some nonfiction that I'll be reading personally, and there will intermittently come up where I will feel the urge to read a book of another type, and so obviously I'll pick another book up as needed. But for this list, I have created about 28-ish books for the first 4 months of the year, which I will be reading. And so let's look below. So as you can see on the reading schedule, I have 6 categories. The first category is Star Trek standalone books. This is just a Star Trek novel that is not necessarily part of a series. This is a Star Trek novel that is not necessarily interconnected. It's just a standalone book. Now, sometimes I have reasons for reading these standalones when I do, but as a whole, I am just reading through the standalone Star Trek novels that I have. Then I have Star Trek Books series. Now, this is something that I experimented with in December and quite enjoyed, and so I am going to attempt to keep this up throughout 2022. We will see how successful I am. And so the goal is to read a trilogy or tetralogy or duology in 1 month, as opposed to spreading it out, where traditionally I read a book 1 month, and if I like the book, I'll read the sequel the next month or the next book, especially when it's like something tie-in like Star Wars or Star Trek that are pretty handy books, sizes like 300 to 400 pages. However, this year I want to try to read the whole series in 1 month, for one, so that I can get it out of the way, and at the same time, I want to be able to review the books all at once and really get not lose the information, because sometimes I will forget the events that are happening, as has happened with some books I've read recently. So that is the second category. The third category is my read-through of the Saga of the Seven Suns and Shadows by Kevin J. Anderson. Every month I will be reading 1 book from this series. I have not read anything of this series yet. I own all the books, the 7 books in the Saga of the Seven Suns, and then the 3 books in the sequel series, the Saga of Shadows. All of them are signed copies by Kevin J. Anderson. I was lucky enough to be on his Facebook page and see that he was offering up 3 groups of the full editions, and he was selling them for a wonderful price, and I was the first one to buy them up, and so I have all of them, and I am wanting to broaden my horizons with sci-fi, and I've read other books by Kevin J. Anderson that I have enjoyed quite a bit, and so I am hoping that I will enjoy this series as well. So I will be reading 1 book from that series each month. Then the next category is the new release category. Now, this category will range in some months. Some months I will have as few as 1. Some months I will have many, many more to read. This is all based off of books that are coming out that particular month. I have always, particularly with Star Wars, tried to read every Star Wars book in recent years, the day or days that it comes out. Sometimes I can read it as fast as the first day. Sometimes it takes me a week. Sometimes only 3 days. It varies, but I always try to start on the day that it releases. And for the last couple of months, I've been able to keep that up with Star Trek as well, although there aren't as many Star Trek books coming out in 2022. And then there are also some other books, some fantasy novels, some sci-fi novels that I'm interested in, and so those will also be on the list. So the new release list is a variety of categories, but all of them being books that will be coming out during that month, and I will be reviewing them very soon after their release. The next category is fantasy and sci-fi. This is a category of big, thick books that I intend to read, as I would consider them to be tomes. These are all books that are 500, 600, 700 pages, some of them way longer, some of them 1,200 pages, looking at you, Stormlight Archive, that I intend to read. And these are books that are, these are books I can't do a bunch of them all at once, but I can read one, maybe two a month, depending on how my pacing goes. And I want to continue reading fantasy sci-fi. I felt that in 2021, I did not put enough emphasis on reading fantasy sci-fi books, and I feel that in 2022, I am in danger of doing the same thing with how many Star Trek books I intend to read. And so I will be rectifying that by specifically making sure I am reading one fantasy tome every single month, some months reading more. The final category is my Agatha Christie category. The last couple months of this year, I have been reading a ton of Agatha Christie books and have been absolutely loving them. One of my friends, Connor, has suggested them to me, and I started reading and absolutely fell in love with this author's work, and I can't wait to read more of hers, and so I intend to read one mystery novel every month. They're very short, and they're very sweet, and what makes them so good is that they're a refreshing change of pace from my epic sci-fi fantasy or my tie-in books. It's a very different type of book to read, and I've been enjoying reviewing them. They haven't been getting as many views on the channel, but still, I enjoy reviewing them nonetheless, and so those will also be books I'll be reading. And then, of course, you can see on my chart how many I'm reading for the month. This will vary from month to month, but usually I will try to keep my minimum around 8 and my maximum around 10. I know sometimes I don't always hit my TBRs for the month, and sometimes I do hit them. So there's room for error, and there's room on both ways. So that is the general plan. As you can see on the chart in front of you, it varies from month to month. I will not be going into the full details of the year. You will only see January through April right now. That's my first third of the year plans. I will release more when we get closer towards May. But for the moment, I will take a quick moment to emphasize the month of January. This will also be serving as a TBR video for me. So in January, my Star Trek standalones will include Articles of the Federation, which is by Keith R.A. DeCandido, and I loved the book he wrote for the A Time 2 series, and so I will be reading that. And then the next book is Immortal Coil by Jeffrey Lang, and this is a book in the Star Trek Next Generation series. I don't really have excitement for this book, except for the other Star Trek books that I'm reading this month, the Cold Equations trilogy by David Mack, including the first book, The Persistence of Memory, the second book, Silent Weapons, and the third book, The Body Electric. I am reading this trilogy because this is the first trilogy I want to read, and it's been recommended to me by a lot of you, by some of my friends who read Star Trek books, and also just because it's a David Mack trilogy and I want to read all of his books. I'm reading The Immortal Coil because I've heard that it has connections to the Cold Equations trilogy and almost serves as like a prequel of sorts, even though it was written first, and I don't want to spoil myself and read it afterwards, so I want to read Immortal Coil first. So that is the plan for my Star Trek reading. Of course, the first book of the month for the Saga of the Second Sons will be Hidden Empire. This is the first book in the series. I really don't know much about this series. I tried to pick up one of the books of the Saga of the Shadows, the sequel series. Wasn't prepared for it, but I think I will be prepared for Hidden Empire, as it is the first in this overall series. New releases is the next category, where I have 2 books in the month of January coming out, and thank goodness they are not releasing on the same day, or I would be in so much trouble. The first book, The Fallen Star, releases on January 4th, and that is written by Claudia Gray. This is a Star Wars novel in the High Republic timeline. I love Claudia Gray, and I love the High Republic, and I specifically love her adult novels. So when she's writing an adult novel for the High Republic, you know I'm excited. And then I have Gods and Dragons. Such an epic title, Gods and Dragons, by Kevin J. Anderson. This book will be coming out January 11th. This is the third book in the Wake of the Dragon series, and I am so excited to read the conclusion. Spine of the Dragon was an excellent book, and Vengeance was an amazing follow-up. And I have high hopes for Gods and Dragons. I know Kevin can stick the landing. I know he's very good at that. And then the standalone, I shouldn't say standalone, the one fantasy tome that I'm reading for the month is Valor by John Gwynne. I read Malice by John Gwynne earlier in 2021, and I enjoyed it, but I just was so busy I never got around to reading the sequel, and I want to rectify that and begin reading through the rest of the Faithful and the Fallen series. And then the Agatha Christie book I'm reading for the month of January is Death on the Nile. Now, I am reading this book mainly because the Death on the Nile movie, directed by Kenneth Branagh, comes out in the month of February, and I want to have read the book before I go into the movie. I know there are some people with mystery books that they don't want to read the book first because it'll spoil the movie. I don't understand that at all, but I want to read the book first, and so I'm going to try to get to it in the month of January. It'll probably be on the tail end, if I'm being honest. It'll be the end of January, but that is my list for January. So I will have 10 books for the month. And so that is my reading schedule for the first third of 2022. Let me know what types of books you're reading. Tell me, are there any books or any categories that I'm reading that you want to read along with and you're excited about? Are there any books or categories that I should add to my list that you think I am missing that I should be reading? Let me know down in the comments below. As I said at the beginning of the video, please subscribe to the channel so you'll see more videos, including book reviews on all the books and categories that I mentioned today. Please like this video and provide your comments down below. And until next time, I'm Jonathan, and thank you for watching.